Okay, I am going to reconvene the meeting of the even more special City Council meeting for November 12th. Mr. City Attorney, was there anything to report?
No final action tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we will stand adjourned. All right, and I am going to call to order the regular meeting of the Folsom City Council for Tuesday, November 12th, 2024. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Yeah, council members Chalem Chella.
Here.
Rodriguez.
Here.
Rohrbaugh.
Here.
Aquino.
Here.
And Kozlowski.
Also here. If everybody will please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we are going to start with business from the floor this evening, which is the opportunity for members of the public to speak on topics that are not already on the agenda. Will you
Okay.
please call our first speaker?
Yeah, you have 7 requests to speak this evening under business from the floor. I'll call the first speaker and I'll let you know who the next speaker is. So if that's you, you can be ready to go. So our first speaker will be Elizabeth Parks, who will be followed by Beverly Seiss. So Elizabeth, come on down, and once you start, I'll start your 3-minute timer.
Good evening, Ms. Parks.
Good evening. Is this in the right spot?
Yes, it is. You're right
I
there.
just wanted to say thank you for the Veterans Day Parade. It was lovely. And so I come from a family of veterans since World War II. And also our family has been involved in scouting, and it was lovely to see the Cub Scouts, the 4-H. There was so many people. I was pleasantly surprised by how many different groups there were and their floats and lots of flags. It was a wonderful tribute to our veterans, so thank you very much.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker will be Beverly Seiss, who will be followed by Jessica Lang.
Good evening, City Council, City staff, and Folsom residents. I have been the director of the Folsom Winter Shelter for a few years now, and I'm incredibly grateful for everyone in Folsom who works with heart to provide overnight shelter to unhoused adults during the winter months. Some of you have served at the shelter and for the shelter. Thank you, Councilmember Chalem Chella, Councilmember Aquino, and Councilmember Rodriguez. It's a citywide effort, and its benefits are felt citywide. Along with a good meal, shower, and safe and warm place to sleep, all guests have the opportunity to connect regularly with 3 of the nonprofits in Folsom that work and provide services for them: Heart of Folsom, Powerhouse Ministries, and Jake's Journey Home. Each of the nonprofits provides a unique service, but that we all offer a kind hand up to folks who are suffering. A lot of good change happens via all 3 of us, especially when we work together. By the end of the season in 2024, this last season, 70% of our guests who came even one night were working with one or more of the nonprofits. The longer we have folks in the shelter in the winter, the better prepared they can be to move into housing programs. We're very excited for each person who's able to make changes. Some changes are smaller, some changes are bigger. And changes often come slowly, so it's important that the processes that can help change happen continue. I want to share a bit about a woman who was at the shelter the entire season in 2024. She had some health issues, so being sheltered at night and cared for was really life-saving to her. After the season ended, she and I continued to talk, and she entered a 4-month residential treatment program and is currently in a transitional housing program, having succeeded at the first one. She struggled most of her adult life with addiction and is now maintaining her sobriety and, in her words, getting her life back on track. We also had a gentleman at the shelter for the season who is similarly working hard and maintaining sobriety in an intensive outpatient program. They both have expressed gratefulness for the help they received at the shelter and the kindness that they were shown by all of the volunteers. A peaceful community and changed lives are what the shelter is all about. We look forward to the 2025 shelter beginning on January 2nd. And thank you to Parks and Rec for their support. We're thankful to have the homeless outreach team and the police department. We've met with them already, planning how to work together for the season. So for those in need, we'll be there each night this winter. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay, our next speaker will be Jessica Lang, who will be followed by Judy Alexander.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Jessica Lang, and I've been a Folsom resident for 25 years. I love living in Folsom, and my husband and I raised our 2 kids here. My family has experienced firsthand the benefits of Folsom's wonderful schools, beautiful parks and trails, and the safety of this community. So why should I care about a homeless shelter in Folsom? I've been a Heart Winter Shelter volunteer for 7 years. Volunteering at the shelter has been a life-changing experience for me. Before 7 years ago, I hadn't known any unhoused people on a personal level. Now I know many. I've had countless amazing conversations with unhoused people who have thoughtful and meaningful ideas to share. The winter shelter has given me the chance to see the similarities between us. I wish every Folsom resident could have this opportunity. 2 years ago, I met a young woman at the shelter who embodies resilience. When she first arrived at the winter shelter, she was a very angry person. She was failing to make sense of her life after having experienced severe verbal, physical, and sexual childhood abuse. As a result of her childhood trauma, she had hardened herself to the world. Although she and I were living different lives, we began an unlikely friendship, and I became a mentor to her. During the past 2 years, she has made big life changes. She started working, got an apartment, and is taking a couple of community college classes. Life is still hard for her, but she continues to work on her mental health and personal goals. She has achieved so much on her own, but I like to think that the Heart Winter Shelter was a catalyst for her. As a shelter volunteer, one of my jobs is to provide a safe place for the night. Perhaps just as important, my job is also to offer up grace and dignity to people who don't often encounter much grace and dignity on a daily basis. What might happen if more Folsom residents prioritized extending grace and dignity towards their down and out neighbors? What I know for sure is that my own kids have benefited from watching me do this. I think the winter shelter gives our community at large a chance to experience compassion in a very profound way. When the shelter opens its doors on January 2nd, volunteers will listen, smile, and affirm everyone's dignity. That level of community engagement brings people together and is invaluable to both housed Folsom residents and our neighbors in need. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, your next speaker will be Judy Alexander, who will be followed by the duo of Julian Serafian and Mia George.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. My name is Judy Alexander, and I want to thank the people of Folsom for supporting the Heart Winter Shelter, starting this year on January 2nd. This is Heart of Folsom's 8th year to serve the city by offering shelter, safety, and sustenance to those in need. Hundreds of volunteers from religious institutions, restaurants, service groups, and neighbors pull together to serve those who need our help. The Parks and Rec Department in the city is so supportive and a critical part of the plan. One of the beautiful aspects of the shelter are the guests who offer so many thank yous and often stay in contact to let us know of healthy babies who are born, jobs secured, mental health improvements, and housing found. Heart doesn't claim responsibility, but we played a part, often a significant part, in these successes. It's amazing what a warm meal or a safe sleeping place and a smile can accomplish, if only to encourage someone to think about change and hope. Last month, I was blessed to see a former guest at church. He had an opportunity to come back to a place where he and his brother had been well served. His brother has passed, but he is in a subsidized apartment, has a good job, and obviously is in a better mental and spiritual space. I also attended a memorial service last Saturday for one of the homeless in our community. While there, honoring him who had lived in Folsom his whole life, I ran into another gentleman I know who is entering the Volunteers of America Housing and Rehab Program at Mather Air Base. He's excited. We're excited. We're friends. Guests aren't the only ones changed. I've had the privilege to speak with many volunteers over the years. Our lives have changed as well. We understand our community better. We are humbled by the people who will accept help and hope. And we believe we actually accomplish some very positive things as opposed to just complaining. In 2017, we said, this city has to have a shelter for those in need. And we did. In 2020, we said, can we do this during COVID? We did. And when people said this summer, as we do every summer, can we do this in 2025? We say yes. If you know anybody in need of a shelter, we'll be there January 2nd at Rodeo Park to welcome them. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
Okay, our next speakers are Julian Serafian with Mia George, who will then be followed by Brett Hofstad.
Welcome aboard.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Julian. This is Mia. Thank you for letting us share a very special event happening soon in our town. On Tuesday, December 17th at Folsom's Harris Center for the Arts, we are hosting a Nashville Songwriters Live, a benefit concert for Hands for Hope, Youth Making a Difference, a nonprofit in our town. This evening is about supporting Hands for Hope's learning service clubs in 4 Folsom schools and enjoying an unforgettable performance by 3 of Nashville's top songwriters. Jeffrey Steele, who's a Nashville Songwriters Hall of Famer, known for his hits with Keith Urban and Rascal Flatts. Mark McKay, a California-born country rock artist who has toured with legends including Tim McGraw, and CJ Solar, co-writer of Morgan Wallen's #1 hit, Up Down, and a rising star with a southern rock twist. These artists will share their music and the stories behind their songs in an intimate acoustic setting, and every ticket purchased supports Hands for Hope, a nonprofit dedicated to inspiring and empowering youth in leadership and service. Hands for Hope's programs in our community teach valuable life skills and inspire young people to give back. And Mia here, who is a senior at FHS, go Bulldogs, can tell you a little bit about how being a part of Hands for Hope has impacted her.
As Julian mentioned, I'm Mia, a senior at Folsom High School and the Hands for Hope Youth Board President. Hands for Hope has really shaped me to be the person I am today in so many ways. I started really getting involved with Hands for Hope when I joined the Ryan Christopher Hirsch Scholarship Committee, a committee that provides scholarships for youth who may not have the opportunity to go to camp because of their economic situation. Youth interested in attending summer camp fill out a scholarship application, which is all made by youth, Hands for Hope youth, and answer questions on why they want to go to science camp or why they want to go to art camp and what they hope to get out of the camp. Eventually, I got more and more involved with Hands for Hope, joining the Hands for Hope Club at Folsom High. I became a part of the youth board, joined after-school committees, and so much more, and started doing speaking events, even like this one. And from each of these projects, I learned responsibility, the power of teamwork, better time management, I gained new friendships, and a sense of community. I also learned how to work Canva, which is a graphic design tool, very well, and I use it for almost everything now. Most importantly, I see how my service to the community continues this cycle of joy, benefiting everyone involved.
Thank you, Mia. Tickets are available, everybody, now through the Harris Center box office. Again, this is a great chance to listen to some awesome music and support a local organization doing great work for our town. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay, our next speaker.
Superb advocacy by a Folsom High senior.
Come on down. Our next speaker will be Brett Hofstad. Come on down. And our final speaker under business from the floor will be Rob Allen.
Thank you, council members and city officials. So Measure G did not pass, as we all know. So the fiscal challenges here are more challenging now for the city. I'm coming to you with 4 specific things we can do to improve our finances here and do more with less. Number 1, create a clear and effective pathway for naming rights. There are people, individuals, companies, and institutions that want to give Folsom money, but they cannot or choose not to because we don't have that clear pathway. So please make a decision to make that happen and give it some urgency. Number 2, crowdfunding. We have a great history and heritage of innovation in Folsom. Crowdfunding you may know about through sites like Kickstarter or GoFundMe, where people pool their money together for a common purpose. Well, many cities across the country have applied this innovative funding model also to solve their problems. In fact, there's a platform dedicated just for cities called Patronicity, or Patron iCity, where they help the city, the community funding match with grants, available grants for matching funding. So they have many success stories of 5, even 6-figure success stories from doing that. Number 3, we have a great resource with the Granite School helping the startups in our city. Well, let's find a way, make a pathway to create an equity stake for the city or for Choose Folsom with these startups. Most startups, of course, don't succeed, but those that do could provide a new funding source and revenue stream for the city and for those essential services. Number 4 is a city-sponsored hackathon. Now, last month, we were fortunate to have the NASA International Space Apps Hackathon hosted here in Folsom again. I was happy to be a co-organizer of that. It was the 5th year we had it in Folsom. We had over 100, almost 100 registrants as a part of that. We had parents and kids working together to create new problems, new solutions, new products. We had employees from Intel volunteering as mentors. And what we did is solved problems that were given by NASA using NASA data to create new solutions that did not exist before the weekend happened. It was a weekend event. So imagine if we had the city departments providing challenges or opportunities to the people of Folsom to say, here's some things we really want to do. We can't do it. We don't know how. We need some help. Turn the people loose of Folsom to create solutions. They would do it for free. It's free energy, free expertise, and great things I guarantee would come out of that. So if you want to do any of those things, if you think I can help, please do that. But as you look for a new city manager to replace Elaine, I hope you also look for somebody who has an innovation mindset and can apply these new ideas to help us out. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you. Our final speaker this evening will be under business from the floor, will be Rob Allen. Come on down.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight. Let me say that I'm actually acquainted with 4 of the 5 city council members to some degree that involved when my kids were in high school, and YK from Community Service Day. Anna, who's in my district, I'm not familiar with, but recently saw your post on Facebook, which kind of addresses just some questions I had about Measure G, since it's not passing. There was a Sacramento Bee article that quoted Mayor Kozlowski about the city council support, while unanimous for the measure, was not vocal, said Mayor Kozlowski, who is a frequent public speaker advocating for Measure G, let's put it that way. So it'd be great to, if there was a way to publicly, everyone come out where they were either in support or not support of Measure G. I've spoken with, let's say, more than one of you on your opinions about Measure G, and it'd be great to have City Council reflect somehow publicly, publicly through a City Council meeting or in writing what your thoughts were about it, because it means a lot to the city. I don't know what the final vote is. Was it 60-40, 60, whatever it was? So nearly half are very curious, kind of where your stance are on that. And I saw some of yours.
So, Rob, in this particular part of the meeting,
Right.
we can't really respond to questions like
Oh, no,
that
I know.
because it's not agendized. But
Yeah. No, I don't mean,
Yeah.
I didn't mean now.
Okay.
I meant in the future. No, I know it's not agendized.
Gotcha.
I totally understand. So that's just something that would be great to see in the near future. And I love the ideas that were just mentioned
Yeah,
too about Measure G. So
getting
that's
good
it.
feedback tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, you have no further request to speak under business from the floor.
Okay. Do we have any agenda updates this evening?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of City Council. There is a revised staff report for items 6 and 16 on tonight's agenda. A copy has been previously provided to you, and they are also available on the table in the back. Additionally, item 15 is being continued off calendar.
Okay. All right, we are going to convene the joint meeting of the City Council and the Folsom Ranch Financing Authority as our next item. So, and we have one item. Madam Clerk.
Okay, your first item and only item of the joint meeting public hearing is Folsom Ranch Financing Authority. This is the City of Folsom CFD number 23, Folsom Ranch Improvement Area number 4. This is dealing with special tax revenue bonds, Series 2024. There are two resolutions before you tonight. Resolution number 11295, as fully written out on the agenda, and resolution number 013, Folsom Ranch Financing Authority. Full title also to be found on the agenda.
Thank you, and good evening. I'm Stacy Tamani, Chief Financial Officer. Tonight I'm presenting the CFD 23 Improvement Area 4 Special Tax Revenue Bonds, Series 2024. This slide has some background information on this improvement area. The council approved CFD 23 Improvement Area 4 on May 26th of 2020. The improvement area provides for the construction and acquisition of certain public improvements to serve the property within that CFD. These improvements include backbone infrastructure such as transportation, the water system, recycled water, drainage, wastewater, parks, parkways, and open space, and also provides for the subdivision improvements such as underground utilities, subdivision roadways, street lighting, sound walls, and landscaping. Here's an image of Improvement Area 4 within CFD 23. It's the area that's outlined in yellow. And staff is proposing to issue the Series 2024 Special Tax Revenue Bonds in an amount not to exceed $13.5 million. Proceeds will be used to finance the acquisition and construction of certain public facilities, fund a debt service reserve account, and pay certain costs of issuance. The aggregate assessed and appraised value of the property within CFD 23 Improvement Area 4 is at about $150 million. And in compliance with the city's CFD policy, the value to lien ratio is 10.5 to 1. Your policy is that it be at least 3 to 1. Also in compliance with the city's policy is the proposed tax burden per parcel of approximately 1.73% to 1.77% for developed residential property. By taking action tonight, you're approving the form of the various required documents that are listed here on the slide. You're also authorizing the officers of the city and the Folsom Ranch Financing Authority to execute any and all documents and to take appropriate actions to prepare to issue the bonds. And so with that, staff does recommend the approval of City Council Resolution number 11295 and Folsom Ranch Financing Authority Resolution number 013. Thank you.
Excellent. Council, any questions about these? All right. And just for clarity, for form, you need individual motions. And these are not first readings. These will be approved in one go. Okay. I'm going to. Okay. So if there's no questions from the council, you have one?
Yeah.
Okay, fire away.
5 minutes. Okay. Stacy, I know this is a pretty thick document, 348 pages. On the number one, I think on slide 5, we put the property tax information. I really hope those 600 people they are selling, they'll disclose that to the buyers upfront. So I want to make sure, that's happening more explicitly out there, those numbers, that much they're going to pay the property tax in that parcel. Right? That's not in our control. I'm just making that statement here, whosoever is listening. Otherwise, people are so surprised. How much is the property tax on north of 50 and south of 50? All those comparisons. My point is here for you. On page 346, the total payment is going to be around $22 million, $23 million. But there is a $500,000 special tax administration cost. What exactly is that $500,000 to borrow $13 million?
That pays for the administration of the bonds over the life of the bonds. So we're paying for them over many years. And so that pays for the cost of the city to administer this for the CFD.
$500,000.
And other costs for consultants.
These are 40-year bonds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're talking about $12,000 a year.
$12,000. Okay. So for 40 years administration, that's what you're saying?
For the administration, over the entire life of the bonds,
Entire
yes.
life of the bond. Okay. When I look at the $13 million and $500,000 expense, I thought, oh, that's a big chunk for someone. But thank you. That's all I have.
That's it? Okay. All right, I'm going to open the public hearing. Do we have anybody that'd like to comment on this?
You have no request to speak under this item.
I'll go ahead and move resolution number 11295.
I'm going to close the public hearing and
Oh.
accept that motion. Thank you.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Would you please call the roll?
Councilmembers Chalem Chella?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Rohrbaugh?
Yes.
Aquino?
Yes.
And Kozlowski?
Also,
I'll go
yes.
ahead and move resolution number 013.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Once again, the roll
Okay.
call.
Councilmembers Chalem Chella?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Rohrbaugh?
Yes.
Aquino?
Yes.
And Kozlowski?
Yes. All right, and I have routinely forgotten to close public hearings, so I want to make sure I got that in. I'm going to adjourn the joint meeting and reconvene our regular city council meeting, and we are on to item number 2, which is a scheduled presentation by the Folsom Tourism Bureau.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Joe Gagliardi with the Folsom Tourism Bureau. The good news is I'm not doing the presentation, but I wanted to make a few leading comments. First of all, the past year of which this occurred was from 23 to 24. It goes from July to June. We don't get the final information from the last quarter till September, October, so that's why this is delayed for reporting back. But there's some exciting stuff that occurred, and Sally will be sharing with you, but even more exciting going forward with what we're doing with different technology and ability to measure stuff and be able to promote. We've had a great October of a bunch of events in town that have driven a lot of hotel stays. Sally's prepared holiday packages for this winter season, which is our shoulder season, which is really making a big difference. We're be able to have a reservation system. I'm stealing your thunder, Sally. So, anyway, without further ado, here's Sally Buchanan.
Good evening, everybody.
I'll send it.
There we go.
Yep.
I think.
Yep, I got it. Go ahead.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for letting me share a bit about last fiscal year. This is my third time here giving an annual update. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, just sharing some great highlights. You have a more detailed report in your the packet tonight, but I have the pleasure of putting heads in beds in Folsom, or at least working every day to do that. And what a great place to do that, because we really have a great opportunity for people to come visit for recreation or for work or other activities. I want to talk a little bit about our marketing efforts. Over the past few years, you've heard us talk about a rebrand and a new website. We've really been focusing on our marketing strategies, and as you see here, last year we had 161% increase in our Instagram growth, and that equals about almost 16,000 followers, and then a 78% increase in our Facebook growth. That's about 5,000 followers, and we just continue to optimize our content. And we have a very visual city. Our outdoor spaces are amazing, and this really helps us drive interest in traffic.
You also picked one of the most beautiful homes in Folsom.
And we have, I've been talking to you over the past few years about some technology that we've been using to help drive more traffic to our website and increase interest in staying overnight. The first one's a technology called Ripe. It's an online booking engine. We have our own online travel agency, so we drive people to our homepage, and you'll hear me talk a little bit more about our packaging, but someone can from our homepage check out the rates, real-time rates for all of our 8 hotel properties, and we've put together some great packages over the years.
We have our Foothill Wine Passes. I'm not sure if any of you got to our event this Saturday that was held at the Palladio. We had about 700 people come and enjoy our Foothill wineries. We had about 50 serving. We had 10 to 12 of our restaurants sampling, and we had a brewery, mocktails, a DJ. It was really well received, but we have a competition every year, wine competition with over 70 wineries that participate. They get awards, they come showcase at that event. But we also offer through our website a Foothill Wine Passes. There's 5 regions you can buy 1 or 2 day pass to, and this is great because when someone's booking online, they can choose to buy the passes as they're checking out. So stay in Folsom, play in the foothills. It's a really great partnership with the wineries. And the wineries, I don't know if all of you know that wine business is down 30 to 40%. So they all need some help. And then we also have our Ride with GPS app. We have 30 curated rides that someone could use this app for free, and it will guide you to all the great places that we have here, but also far. Some of these rides are very far. I wouldn't ride them myself because that would not be great. You'd see me fall. I talked a little bit about hotel packages. Folsom Pro Rodeo, Holiday Stay, Skate and Shop, Foothill Wine Festival package. I want to talk a little bit about the holiday package, which started last the day the ice skating rink opened. So the package, for the first time, all of our hotel properties, this time period between mid-November through February is really kind of hard on the hotels. It's when it's their, we call it the shoulder season. So at one of our meetings, they said, hey, why don't we discount? And we had never provided a discount through our online booking engine, and it took the corporate offices some time to put together the discounts, but all of the hotels are offering, with a 2-night stay, a 20% discount on the rooms. And then to supplement that, we have some added value: 2 ice skating passes, a $50 Palladio gift card, and 2 Foothill Wine passes. That's a huge value. And I'm really excited to see how that goes. That's we're running that promotion through the length of the ice skating rink, and the hotels are excited. We're going to get a lot of business in historic Folsom and the Palladio and around town, so that is great. So we use the system for hotel packages, but we also use the system for our for special events. I'll name one: the California International Marathon, which is coming up on Sunday, December 8th, I think it is, or 8th.
Yep.
And we'll have over 15,000 runners start here in Folsom. They end in Sacramento, but the play on that is stay in Folsom, get to sleep a little bit longer. We last year in our booking engine, we had over 315 reservations, 559 room nights, average daily rate of $206, 9,500 sessions on our website, which is huge. And those are some of the highlights. We're tracking this year to do just as well, but the other thing we get from that is we get access to the first-party data, which is so important now with all the different things going on in that world. So we can market to them. We can continue to market to them. And we can also welcome them when they come to town. And we always drop off welcome packets with a Folsom magazine, a Getting Around Folsom map, and we want to enhance their stay any way we can. So the events listed here, we run them in some way, shape, or form through our system, and we're able to better track who's coming and how long they're staying. This is, we work with an example of one of our sports groups. The Broadstone Racquet Club has lots of tournaments throughout the year, and they saw that we offer grants, sports grants. So we get together with them. This is on their website all the time. So whenever they have a tournament coming on, they let all the players know. to book through this system, and every quarter I look at how many rooms that were booked and consumed, and we give them a small grant back to help fund things in their program. And we do that with also the first Folsom Lake Surf Soccer Club, and I try to work with Parks and Recs here to get to all the sports promoters to get them to know that we have that opportunity to help support their programs. We also offer event grant support to a lot of events. California International is one that we do, but I don't believe this list is exhaustive, but we do really support a lot of grants. One that I'll mention was for the first time here this weekend. We sold it from a neighboring city, Rancho Cordova, but they took off from the technical park. It was a run. It's called Run the Parkway, and thanks, Mayor Kozlowski, they were excited that you came and kicked off the run. We had over 1,000 runners on Sunday morning. Over 170 were from more than 70 miles away, so likely most of them stayed here. We did have a link through our RIPE system, and everybody loved it. They love the new start line. It's a feeder marathon, a training marathon for the CIM, so kind of just goes with the sports tourism ecosystem, and they all accounts are they'd like to come back, and that's a new place for them to start over in the office park. We haven't done that before. They really liked it, and I think it's a little bit easier than closing a lot of the roads, say in historic Folsom or things like that can provide challenges. I mentioned our sports grant fund. We also get a lot of requests from our community programs that they're having a gala, or they want some kind of donation, so we support. We're making baskets all the time with rodeo tickets and things of that nature to help support their fundraising efforts. We have group travel incentive and a transportation reimbursement grant. We hear a lot from small groups that are coming. It's hard to get from the airport, or I've got a wedding party, we don't want to drink and drive, so we have depending on how many room nights they have, we offer a little funding to help support shuttling programs. And I'm going to talk a little bit about visitor data, which is, I think you've heard me talk about this over the years, but we've got a system called Placer AI that gives us some great insight into what our tourism market is doing for Folsom, and also it has an economic development engine too with it. So just a visitor snapshot for the last 12 months. This isn't on the fiscal year. The only way I can currently pull the data is the last 12 months, so not exactly on the fiscal year, but over 500 overnight stays, and that's a 5.1% year-over-year increase. I need to note that those stays are not necessarily all in hotels. They could be in someone's home or in a short-term rental. So, so overnight stays, and then 100, that equates to $1.3 million in visit nights. So there's the trip and the number of nights. And again, the 5.3 year-over-year increase in visit nights, and this is a new figure, the 196 million in total visitor spend. That's from travelers who are coming more than 50 miles away, and that is based on credit cards that are swiped in market. If you purchase your airfare or your hotel on Travelocity and pay for it at home, it doesn't count those things. It also is, these systems aren't foolproof. They have all these algorithms, so I need to note that. But $196 million in total visitor spend. That's a lot of money and a lot of tax support for the city. And it also can tell us where are people coming from, which informs our marketing. And of course, San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley, San Jose, Los Angeles, all great feeder markets. A little bit of data on our key shopping destinations, the number of visits, visitors, dwell time, year-over-year increases, decreases, median household income. It can go deeper and deeper and deeper into statistics if you'd like. Now, this tracks, you all probably have cell phones and you have apps on your cell phone, and you either opt in or opt out. So it's as good as how many people have opted in, but it will not, if I put in an entity like the Palladio and they didn't get enough cell phone pings, they wouldn't even provide any data. But again, it is based on statistical algorithms, so it can vary up or down, but this does give us a great idea of how many people are coming.
So you're saying there's value in letting Domino's track your phone?
There is. Yeah,
Okay.
please do. It does not know where you live, and there's all sorts of, it can't, it's hard for me to get data on our sports tourism, especially when Parks and Rec they have this tournament coming in and it's at a high school. It won't pull up data on high schools and things like that. Or if it's something like the Easter egg hunt and there's going to be a lot of young people and not a lot of parents, it might not get enough pings on the cell phone. So it's got its pros and cons, but it's pretty cool. And then I just wanted to share some of our top parks destinations. I can pull up the zoo and and get some great data for your team. And I do work closely if anyone requests, and I try to pull data.
Sally, because of you, I do say yes.
Yay!
So that I can be tracked.
It does
Yeah,
provide
there's
us
value.
with
There
some
is.
great insight. And then, I wanted to end with what's to come. We have spent the better part of this fiscal year doing several destination asset studies. I think you've all heard me say that after COVID, our tourism market, everybody's tourism market has changed. We here in Folsom used to be really heavy midweek, Monday through Friday, with corporate travel, and we were sold out a lot during those times. We have 8 hotel properties. Now it's flipped. We're busier on the weekend. I think people found out during COVID we are a great place to play. So we're sold out a lot on the weekends, but we're really soft midweek, and we need assets to help drive all the traffic. So we commissioned a group called Hundon and Associates out of Chicago who did 5 specific studies for us in these 5 areas: outdoor sports, hotel and conference center, indoor sports, entertainment, and then entertainment venues, I should say, and an event strategy. And I should say that there is great opportunity in all these areas. So really, I think there's a few that excel to the top, and probably you'll see over time us talking about more, because we can't do everything all at once. But I am excited to seeing what comes in the future. And with that, I am done with my presentation. So if you have any questions for Joe or I
have a couple of questions, and part of it is because, as a restaurant owner in the historic district, pre-COVID, we were slammed Monday through Friday during lunchtime, and it was so busy that there was no way you could do it with 2 people. And definitely something's changed, and it's changed through with many of my fellow restaurant owners, friends. Something has changed that midweek. Do we foresee anything changing down the road with conferences and having like that coming back, or are corporations relying on Zoom and other
conference travel? That's a great question. Conference travel is back. Intel is not back. When you Intel's in the Placer AI. When you look at the traffic pre-COVID and now, that's a big reason why a lot of the businesses midweek are doing great, because it's a huge drop in people who even work there who are not coming in because they're not back on campus full time and they're not traveling still. So that's hard. And I mean, I've got personal opinions, but I really think we need a conference space. We have a great place to come and stay and midweek, but we don't have any meeting space, so to speak. And when we are losing inductive automation, a conference of over 800 that we have every September. They're going to Sacramento. They've grown out. We can't make it work in the Harris Center anymore.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation and all the hard work.
Thanks, everybody.
And thanks to all the hotels for being part of this, because I mean, it really has all happens
Make sure
because
all
of
of your
their.
in-laws go stay at the hotels and use the holiday package.
Very good. Outstanding. Okay, we are moving on to the consent calendar. We have somebody who would like to give some public comment on item number 13. We were told that item 15 is going to be continued. So I'm asking the council if they have any others they'd like to hold for
Item number
discussion.
7.
7, okay.
I'll go ahead and move items 3. One more?
Quick, no, not pulling. I just want to make a comment, Is that okay?
A
I don't want to
general
pull
one?
them.
Go for it.
Yeah. Number 5, we worked so hard on the 5-year strategy. Coming that in the consent, Mayor, I know this is probably my last meeting or next month. Elaine and Elaine's team did an awesome job. I read it. So it's coming out and sharing all the success we have been doing. 5-year strategy is a good one. Maybe next one.
Okay.
So rather than just be hidden in the consent and just approve.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right? That's one comment. And the other one is, this is, my thing, and I'm still looking at there is a one procurement thing we are still implementing, the enhancements and all those. If you see, we have almost 18, 20 consent items. Quite a few of them are amendments adding the dollars to the contracts. Some of those contracts were approved a long time ago. So I just want to put that, if it is a 5,000, 6,000 adding a crosswalk, I'm okay with that. We don't want to go through the full cycle. But if it is a large enough, sometimes we are adding, 300, 400, $500,000. Think about one more time to, carve out the new procurement with a competitive process and inviting all the bidders. That's the only suggestion and request for a future. Otherwise, almost 10 of them are adding more money.
Great. Excellent.
With that,
Okay, so
So,
the consent calendar absent number 7, 13,
So
and
I
15.
will go ahead and move 3 through 20, removing number 15, 13, and 7.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and second.
Council members Chalem Chella,
yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Rohrbaugh.
Yes.
Aquino.
Yes.
And Kozlowski.
Yes. So let's take a look at resolution number, item number 7, resolution 11280. Ms. Rohrbaugh?
Yes, Marcus, I have a, so I don't have a problem with the 2 new vehicles if you've established that we are in need of them. My concern is on the second vehicle. What will that be used for? I think it was vehicle 503 or something, whatever.
Mayor Kozlowski, members of the council, Marcus Yasutaki, Environmental and Water Resources Director. Councilmember Rohrbaugh, are you referring to the water meter division truck 503? Is that the truck
The
in
one that
question?
you're talking about replacing with a Ford Lightning.
Correct, yes. So that's typically used in day-to-day operations where we are either replacing endpoints or fixed network that help in the meter reading itself, or it's a replacement of actual water meters that are on a customer's property. So if a meter's failing or if it's not working anymore, these vehicles carry meters, say, in the bed of their truck, or they carry the endpoints which transmit the readings throughout the city back to our water treatment plant.
So my concern isn't with your need, like I said already. My concern is that this truck, I think it was a truck you're replacing, has lasted for 14 years, and we're under the state mandate of slowly replacing our vehicles. We're only looking at an all-electric vehicle, which is a much harder thing to maintain. And if you look at what's going on out in the world today, the electric vehicles are becoming less and less in demand for a reason. So I have a lot of concerns about the ongoing maintenance of that. If you look at a Ford Maverick, which is a hybrid, I'm not opposed to going more environmentally friendly. But if you look at a hybrid, a Ford Maverick is about more than $30,000 less than a Ford Lightning. I don't see any grants that we're getting for this, is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. As opposed to, and the PD went to the Teslas, there was grants that compensated for some of that, that made it equal or a little bit less than a regular vehicle they would replace. So while we usually don't get in the details in your department because they're coming out of specific funds and not the general fund, I think in light of the fiscal conversations we've had the last few years, did you go and look at other options? I mean, I can't tell that in here. And what is the incentive to afford Lightning, which is, again, having its own issues?
All right, great question. And I'll start off by saying that I will not pretend to be a clean fleets or an advanced clean fleets vehicle expert. Mr. Rakavan probably can explain it better than I can, but it's our understanding, obviously under the existing law, that for vehicles purchased starting in calendar year 2024, if we are replacing regular gas vehicles, we do have to do a one-for-one swap or replacement with zero emission vehicles for certain types of vehicles, and those are typically the medium or heavy duty vehicles. And because those are the vehicles in our department, which we primarily have most of, are those medium and heavy duty vehicles, when we work with the fleet manager for replacement vehicles, the hybrid vehicles do not count towards that replacement, that one-to-one replacement. So while the cost difference is there, as you point out, it does not help the city in meeting the requirements of the new advanced clean fleets regulatory requirements. And so unfortunately, because of that, we, at least internally in our discussions with the fleet manager, buying a hybrid just puts us one other vehicle kind of behind the eight ball, and that a future purchase may have to come from somewhere else. We had the opportunity to do it. While also, so it kind of meets two goals for us. One, replacing a vehicle that obviously is dated and has many vehicles, but also helps the city at large in meeting some of the advanced clean fleets requirements that we have. And maybe it's an opportunity for another department, maybe within the general fund, who doesn't have to make that purchase now, and we're able to do that through the enterprise funds.
Well, I thank you for that consideration. I think our consideration as a council should be more about our fiscal viability going forward. I do believe that mandate is going to shift because all cities are dealing with this problem and having a difficulty dealing with the problem. You know, this isn't about you or your department. It's about a state mandate. So, you know, I'm just not in favor of doubling the cost of a vehicle because the state is saying we have to go all electric when the proof out there is that all electric is not working. It's higher to maintain and much more expensive to replace. So that's why I'm not in favor of this, not because I don't think that we need another vehicle for you.
Fair enough.
I guess what I would like to see is that we go out and look at other options besides just a Ford Lightning. It sounds like you do carry some equipment in, you need a truck?
We currently actually have a Maverick within our fleet. In the meter division. So it's, we do have one. They will be doing the same things that either vehicle would do, and this is specifically just for meeting the regulation.
Okay.
We aren't doing it because it's providing us any different type of service than the Maverick provides. It's to be in compliance with the new regulation, which is why we are doing that within this purchase.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you need a truck with a bed, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
That was my question.
I have a question for the city attorney okay, so we have a state mandate. There are many state mandates that come our way. Here we have an obligation, you know, this year to purchase zero emission vehicles. And what happens if we don't?
Thank you. Great question, Councilmember
Because of the
Rodriguez.
cost.
That's part of what Marcus had explained. That means we just push our mandate obligation down to the next vehicle. So we do need to replace one-to-one, like for like, except for the fuel source, power source. But if we don't do it this time, then we would have to do it next time with a different vehicle. I'm not sure the department this particular department has another vehicle that can satisfy this clean air fleet mandate. Maybe not, but if there is, maybe that's the case. Marcus?
No, there is not another zero emission vehicle
But this
within
would
our
be the one.
department that would
Okay.
meet the mandate because it's not replacing the vehicle that we're trying to replace.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, I mean, I represent the city on the Air District Board. I haven't heard anything about, I mean, as of right now, the mandate exists, and we are having to give reporting requirements every year, correct?
That's correct. We are already in the reporting window for ACF.
Yeah, my only point is, thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor. I know I'm about to call you as well. Yes, we don't have the, like Tesla opportunities, some credits or the, what do we call that? The rebates or whatever we are getting for this vehicle. I know there is so much push going on our governor. What if the new law may come and save some money and pass it as a rebate to the city departments? So can we by that time the next vehicle which is coming? So that's an opportunity as well. That's where I am also. I hear you, what you're saying, and I hear you also, Mark. But getting the rebates, just like other vehicles are getting, if this is not getting, then why we spend more money and look around for the rebates and swap one-to-one? So that's my, again, the push is going to the, governor's office, one way or another.
Is that making an assumption that there will be rebates coming down the road which may not come to fruition?
I'm not making the assumption. Push is going,
Good,
and the government changes, every day. They pass their laws every day.
If there are rebates available, we will take advantage of them. Frankly, we're still learning the ACF as we go as well. There are fuel reduction credits as well that are part of ACF. So as we purchase more electric vehicles, not only will we see the benefit in reduced fuel consumption by the city, but those also translate into credits that I believe can be used for future purchases as well. So there is some incentive to doing this now, in addition to complying with ACF.
Would that apply to a hybrid, being able to?
Hybrids are specifically excluded from advanced clean fleets.
So even the credits for fuel reduction?
I think so, because the vehicle itself is excluded from ACF.
I don't have any more questions, Mark.
Yeah, Mark, I just want to make the statement, right? Not knowing how it is in terms of a dollar amount, we are spending close to $30,000 extra on this vehicle. So that's all I can say.
What's the price that you've got right now?
Just about $61,441.34 for the Ford Lightning. And I believe the Mavericks are around mid to low 30s.
Yeah. But other all-electric pickups are, generally speaking, more expensive. The Rivian and the Cybertruck are both north of that.
Yes, and we did not look for those.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why. City of Folsom Cybertrucks. I mean, let's do that.
Yeah. So that's where I stand. Oh, sorry. No. That's where I stand. Let's face it. Let's save a few dollars now. That's all I can say.
So, okay. So whether we like.
Make the motion.
Yeah.
I'll move adoption of resolution number 11280.
I'll second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Councilmembers Chalem Chella,
As is, no.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Rohrbach,
No.
Aquino,
Yes.
Kozlowski.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 13. We have somebody who would like to make public comment on that.
Yeah, you had a request to speak from Patty Soulsby on this item. Patty, while you make your way down, I will read the item. This is resolution number 11286. This is a resolution accepting additional hazard mitigation grant program funds and authorizing appropriation of general fund and contingency budget for the completion of ladder fuel removal in all identified general fund fire hazard areas associated with the FEMA hazard mitigation grant received in June of 2022. Go ahead, Patty.
Welcome, and go Bulldogs.
Oh, good evening. I guess I thought that if you voted on this and said yes, then I wouldn't have to get up here and speak.
Oh,
So if you vote yes, I don't have to get up here and speak. So, but I already prepared something to talk about. So, good evening. My name is Patty Soulsby. I've lived in the Shores subdivision, also known as Blue Ravine Oaks, since 1995. I also have been the lighting and landscaping representative since July of 2011, and I've reapplied for another 4-year term. So you know that the Shores is located on the corner of Blue Ravine and Riley, behind the Park on Riley apartment complex. We have 3 entrances into our subdivision. One is on Timson Drive. The other one is Riley and Hazelmere by the daycare. And then there's Blue Ravine and Crossing. So I'm here in support of the resolution 11286 to approve the FEMA grant to remove the ladder fuel in city public areas. Because as you know, Folsom is a great place to live. We have a lot of great trails and open spaces. The people are nice and friendly too. So I'm just concerned about the high fire danger along Blue Ravine in between like Riley and Bidwell, and especially from across from Crossing Way. We have like a lot of mature trees with branches touching the ground where there's still high dry grass located along Blue Ravine. And if there's a fire in that area, it could be catastrophic for our neighborhood and the houses and the apartments on the other side of Blue Ravine that parallels the Humbug Willow Creek. So in the past 3 years, we've had 2 fires in that area. Back on July 2011, the fire department posted on Instagram at 8:09 p.m. that firefighters were dispatched for a grass fire along the Humbug Willow Creek at Blue Ravine and East Bidwell. And then I could see the smoke from our neighborhood, and then I could also see Channel 3 News was there, and it backed up right up against those businesses right there. So then, of course, recently, a couple of months ago in June, the Folsom Times reported another fire outbreak, East Bidwell and Blue Ravine, and so it was a very busy day for the firefighters in Folsom. So, because they had like a total of 8 engines there, they had to request additional support to fight that fire. So, on a personal level, I have 2 plastic tubs with, food, clothing, and important papers just in case if I have to evacuate quickly. But if there's like a windy day, we may not have a chance to evacuate quickly because Blue Ravine is, 4 lanes, and if it's a windy day, embers can come into our neighborhood. So I just want to say great things about our fire and police departments. They are top-notch, and our city is growing quickly. And so please approve the grant because FEMA pays 75% of the money to fix all these areas in Folsom. And so let's be like proactive instead of reactive when we have fires. So let's try to prevent these.
Excellent. I'm glad you had us pull this for comment.
Did I
Thank
go
you.
over?
You went over.
Oh,
That's okay.
I didn't even say everything either.
Good editing on the
Thank
fly.
you so much.
And thank you for serving on the lighting and landscaping
I
district.
hope you vote for me again.
I think you won some friends tonight.
I'll go ahead and move resolution number 11286.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Will you please call the roll?
Council members Chalem Chella?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Rohrbaugh?
Yes.
Aquino?
Yes.
And Kozlowski.
Yes. Excellent. All right, very good. So we are to new business.
Okay, your first new business item this evening is item number 21. This is resolution number 11292, a resolution approving the River District Vision Plan and determination that the proposed vision plan is statutorily exempt from CEQA.
Good evening, Council. Pam Johns, Community Development Director, and I just want to say a few words about these last 2 items before I introduce the
the project managers. But as a reminder, about 20 months ago, this council directed the preparation of 2 master plans, special plans for 2 key areas of the city, the River District and the Central Business District. And the guiding policies for that come from your general plan. It was also a priority of this city council in your strategic plan. And you allocated use of the American Recovery Plan Act dollars in order to get consultant team and project managers on board to help us make this a reality within this timeline. And I'm really happy to be before you this evening with both plans that have been developed and evolved with a lot of good community input, building on past planning efforts of lots of people in the community, the good work of project managers, consultant teams, and the committees that you appointed. And without all of that, we wouldn't be here this evening with both plans kind of ready for your consideration and action. And so with that, I want to introduce Robert Goss, who is the contract project manager for the River District Vision Plan, and he'll walk through that plan and talk about the consultant team and the input and kind of where that landed for your consideration. So, Robert?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Robert Goss on behalf of the Community Development Department. I would like to acknowledge that we do have several members of the Citizen Advisory Committee for the River District plan here. We have the Chair and Vice Chair John Lane and Jim Lofgren here. Karen's Bakery and Cafe. I just totally blank. Joe Gagliardi, Will Kempton, Barbara Leary. Did I miss anybody else? Barbara's in the back. And also Leif Mackay from RRM Design Group, our consultant, producer of a nearly 200-page document, all of the fantastic graphics and design concepts in there. So without further ado, thank you, Pam, for the introduction here. The source of the River District plan is from the 2035 General Plan. 3 primary objectives there in terms of increasing public access, increasing recreation, increasing economic development, as well as some other categories. And I think you'll see all of that come together here at the end. The River District area is vast. On the upper right side of your screen, that's Folsom Dam up here, Folsom Lake Crossing Road. Nearly 6 miles of river all the way west to the Auto Mall area. You see the city line goes through literally half of Lake Natoma, but incorporates the Auto Mall, the business center, the historic district, the city hall complex here, and then all of the state and federal lands abutting the lake. Community engagement was key. It's acknowledged in the general plan, but I just wanted to highlight that. As Pam said, this started over 20 months ago. We had interactive website engagement. We had 300 participants there, over 500 comments, 160 odd comments from a questionnaire, over 20 community meetings, your 24-member Citizens Advisory Committee meeting, and then joint commission workshops and 3 other commission hearings leading up to tonight. There's been a lot of opportunity to engage. Just a note on that social pinpoint, it was the online mapping, and it was very unique because people could get online a special website created for the River District. Here again is the lake over here and the Auto Mall down here. But this logged, it's a heat map. It logged the number of comments that were received, and basically it tells you from a color perspective what's hot and what's not. This is the historic district. It's hot. The cooler blue areas, it's not. So this is where all the attention, not all, but the primary focus and attention of the community was, and you'll see how that comes out in the plan. Along the way, the Citizens Advisory Committee decided that we weren't going to get to master plan. And unfortunately, master plan isn't really well defined. It doesn't have the same literal or legal requirements like a zoning plan or a specific plan or some other legal plan. And so we were struggling to meet those expectations due to sheer size, the volume of resources and comments from the community, and we just were struggling. And it came out, and all due credit to advisory committee member Joe Gagliardi, he uttered the words vision plan, and we grabbed onto that and said, that really is where we're going. And ultimately, we had a motion and an approval, unanimous approval to call this, or recommend to you that we would call this River District Vision Plan, not Master Plan. It still outlines aspirations for the future, guiding principles, which we'll talk about in a moment. There's very, I think, exciting key site concepts, but we're not going to propose any literal rezoning at this time. It is a guide for future projects, and of note to anybody that's concerned that we're developing the riverfront. We are not, but details of future projects will come with applications or master plans in the future. The guiding planning principles are important because they'll stick with the plan and any actions that you or future councils take down the road. The 5 principles here, I don't think I need to read them, but they're important, and all of the both programmatic and design concepts here are consistent and reflect, a consistency with these planning principles, and we hope that future projects within the River District would as well. Opportunities abound in the River District. I think that's why we're doing this, but it starts with state park partnerships where we have, the State Parks Department manages about 75% of the land within the district. So there's a lot of opportunities there. And they, of course, have their own general plan. But the overlap, I think, is what is important. So we have partnership opportunities at state park facilities. Wayfinding and interpretation and education came out huge from citizen responses and involvement. Then there's other opportunities with streetscapes, trail improvements, habitat restoration, etc. But then we got to the focus, and that's like the heat map that we saw a minute ago. And that's where the key sites are, centered around the historic district. So we have on the west side the Corporation Yard, and then all the way over to the east side heading up the River Canyon towards the dam, a trail and bridge project we'll talk about momentarily. But this is where these key sites all centered, and you'll see how it kind of all comes together at the end. So the first project is the Canal Trail and Bridge. Most people in Folsom, if you get out and about, have walked this canal trail. It's the canal that was formed when the water conveyance structure was made to power the powerhouse, which is right over here. There's the penstocks. The canal trail is flat and level. It's one way in, one way out and back. It's out and back. The opportunities here are to make a circular or a loop trail, and that made us look at a bridge up on the river. And you can see the number of different trail connection opportunities that there are coming from Riley Street and Greenback over here, Rodeo Park here, future Johnny Cash Trail connections here, and then the American River Parkway Trail up there. But the key is getting across the river. So Leaf and staff did some analysis and looked at opportunities to come off the canal trail here and then cross the river. But we tested this idea with our Native American tribal representatives and went up to Shingle Springs and made a presentation. They said, we understand why you would do that, but they encouraged us to, before any commitments are made, is to look further. I'm going to go back one slide here. To look further, to go up the river canal to the quarried portion of the river. And you can see how it gets, instead of this irregular shape, you get the very linear shapes. The ground has already been disturbed there. So any Native American cultural resources that would have been there are in all likelihood gone. So they said, not super excited about this particular location because this is probably still undisturbed land, but move upstream where the quarried area of the river is and look there. So that's a notation made for the future, but we think that's a very exciting opportunity, again, going backwards, to make this loop, and this would be checking one of the first boxes of the general plan, increasing recreation opportunities, and trail use in the surveys came out huge, as they typically always do. Next up is Rodeo Park. Chief objectives there was build upon this family friendliness of City Park and Rodeo Park, and what you already have this incredible base there of the zoo, the library, the train, the park and playground itself, then connected to Rodeo Park. But build upon that and improve it and make it even more exciting destination for families. one of those chief opportunities is get rid of some of the dirt around the arena. We took a look at what is actually minimally required for a rodeo, and give or take a few feet, it's that versus maybe double or 2.5 times that. And what we saw the opportunity to do was expand the parking so that you can build upon what goes on there and not suffer the challenges of the parking constraints that are already there today. So adding to the family friendliness, minimizing the dirt area so you can maximize other parking opportunities, improving the fields over here so that we can accommodate soccer tournaments or lacrosse tournaments in the future. That was the inspiration here. And then you can see in the future how things could change. You can build upon, again, this family friendliness. Folsom is very well known for that. And then start to introduce some exciting things that aren't in our inventory of recreation activities, which are things like adventure play. We did take a short field trip, the vice chair and I, over to Rockland to check out Quarry Park. That's not what we're really talking about here, but it's that style of play and picnicking and recreation that we are talking about. Then these first two phases are keeping the rodeo right here in place, because we're not, nobody's chasing the rodeo away. But if 5, 10, 25 years down the road, there was no Folsom Pro Rodeo at 4th of July, then there's an opportunity to do something else and build further upon that family-friendly adventure play activity so that you have something that is incredibly exciting. These concepts also are not like the aquatic center or the zoo, where there is a very heavy burden in terms of operational costs. These are concepts that come with a much lighter operational cost burden and a higher revenue opportunity for the city. There's some character images of what that might look like in the future. And now we're going to move on to the River Promenade. So this area here, this is the Traders Lane city property at the intersection of Leidesdorf and Riley Greenback right here. And then this is the Truss Bridge and Rainbow Bridge down here. So we're talking about this corridor here. So in all likelihood, everybody in the room has been on this bike trail that parallels Riley there and experienced the cluster that it is. And what's still missing from this photo is the skateboarder, the stroller, and I'm sure there's something else, other kind of user that's been out there. And then after we put the presentation together, it's ironic we find the cyclist riding on the wrong side of the trail. So there's a lot of problems with there because it is so busy. It's probably the busiest segment of trail in the entire city, but there is a solution. So we're going to go back to Traders Lane and Leidesdorf here, but the promenade goes all the way down right to the Truss Bridge, and there's a very unique open space, and here's an aerial shot next to the Truss Bridge. It's probably 1/2 to 3/4 of an acre of one of the best overlooks of the river that you can walk right up to. And you can see there's this grade change right here in this photo. The flat area is to the right of these people here. And there's something about the physical makeup of that spot that the traffic noise from Rainbow Bridge dissipates very quickly there. So it's very quiet. So you have an opportunity there to stroll all the way from the historic district down the promenade to the mini park, then jump on a boardwalk paralleling the water's edge, and then coming back and making a loop all the way back in front of the Powerhouse Interpretive Center, the Powerhouse itself. So you've now created another loop. Again, the out and backs, they're okay, they're fine, but doing loops are much better to give people that experience. And then also, hopefully, increase the safety here, because we understand that we do see periodic jaywalking across a very busy highway, and this would do an awful lot to prevent that. But what does it look like? It looks like a little bit similar to Leidesdorf, where you have a Class 4 bikeway, where you have a separate pedestrian sidewalk area and a separate cycling area, so you can manage this congestion and this popularity and do it very safely. And it would look something like that along, and we would recommend a traffic or a pedestrian traffic rated barrier here, so that you really can protect everybody there and just let this be the popular thing that it wants to be. Next up is Traders Lane. If you're coming from Placer County or Sacramento County, Orangeville, Fair Oaks area into our historic district, this is what you see at our doorstep. I think we can do better. So the concept, and props to Leaf and his staff and RRM Design Group. It's a multidisciplinary firm. They have landscape architects, planners, architects, engineers there, And they took a shot at a concept of what if there was a boutique hotel, restaurant there, and the primary thing is, what if we could activate the Traders Lane area here? It has to be maintained as a fire lane for protection of the historic buildings on Sutter Street. But let's activate it, and then let's do something a little bit better. But we've got to maintain the parking. So we have about 110 parking spaces on Traders Lane. This is about 165 parking spaces, some of them on the first level, and then there's a second and third level showing the structured parking, and then on the final floor is the boutique hotel of 30 to 35 rooms. Public plaza here, so and we're not looking at that Traders Lane, don't get me wrong, it's a very useful, needed thing today. But again, I think we can do better in terms of public space there. It might look something like this. Wow. This is Traders Lane activated. We had some retail along the lane here, and this is all leading and connecting from the River Promenade, kind of off screen to the right here, through Traders Lane and then over to historic Folsom Station, where the ice rink is and Jerry Bernot's development projects are. And then you've got the stairs for the people watching, the public plaza, so we're giving some space back to the public in Folsom. And then here's that photograph of coming from Placer County and Sacramento County. This is what it could look like. You've got the gateway opportunity here, the arrival, sculptural or art in the public plaza. You've got a beautiful building that now is contributing economically to the city. In your staff report, EPS, one of our subconsultants, did an analysis of what the tax revenues to the city would be of this concept. And again, it's a concept. But they also looked at both the residual land value, and it did have a positive residual land value, and it also generated about $330,000 in property tax, sales tax, and TOT, if you did something like this. So the point is, not to approve this project, but there's something to explore for this city, that the parking needs can be met, and we can do something very positive for the community and for the economic climate. Next up is the Corporation Yard, and we specifically did not want to go too far in the Corporation Yard because it's early yet. So we didn't use traditional land uses when we talked about the planning of the Corp Yard. We created our own general residential, mixed-use entertainment, commercial visitor serving, 2 kinds of open space, and artisan maker space. And the vision of built projects, if you will, that people had in their minds when we started talking about the Corporation Yard were projects like the Oxbow Market in Napa, the Barlow in Sebastopol, and Tin City in Paso Robles. Just those kinds of retail shopping, active maker spaces in it. And it looks a little bit something like this, along with a few other things. So this is Liedesdorf Street across the lid in Folsom Boulevard coming in to the Corporate Yard area. This is Forest Street here. The target at this point is a park that came out loud and clear through the community activities or committee discussion. CV is commercial and visitor serving, and the purple and gray striped is a mix of that commercial visitor serving and the artisan maker space. This is residential because we have residential in Liedesdorf here. And we had residential at this point here as a transition from the Youngwell Circle residential neighborhoods, but we didn't really get there as the committee. So we ended up leaving it as to be determined. So obviously more study needs to be done. But you can see, I think you can imagine that the pedestrian connections that we can make through here, another river promenade around the outside with connections to the trail system in state parks, that you have the opportunity in the future to do something very exciting and very appropriately connected to the existing historic district. And then finally, as you put it all together and you bring it all home, increasing pedestrian options, the walkability of the city, building upon the gateways, the economic development, the access to the river, you start to see with some of these very notable projects here, and I've included 3 stars for Jerry Bernot's future projects because I believe the Planning Commission has approved the Granite House here. So this is really well underway. This is making the historic district more than just Sutter Street. It's Sutter Street, Traders Lane, Liedesdorf, 4 or 5 other blocks, and we're connecting at, projects and concepts that are more than a mile away. From the courtyard to the canal, trail, and bridge is well more than a mile. So we're really creating a very strong pedestrian network and opportunity for the future. So implementation and next steps, review the vision plan annually during the strategic planning sessions and budget CIP deliberations. This has come up because the CAC, the Citizens Advisory Committee, was very adamant. We do not want the plan to sit on a shelf. It'll be challenging to implement, but there are definitely ways. The committee also wanted to prioritize and identify funding for projects, allow for regular ongoing community input. That was also, I think, a very important thing, is that the community engagement shouldn't be done on this. It should be ongoing. Identify individual project planning next steps, i.e. Projects that are master plans, feasibility studies, resource analysis, et cetera. Assign projects and objectives to specific responsible departments, so somebody owns it. Right now, this has been community development, but there's probably other departments that would be better served to do implementation in the future. Meet regularly with state parks. There is an awful lot of overlap with state parks in this. We are going to need to be engaged with them, and including the Native American tribes. And then finally, I think you can see, if you compared my second slide to this slide, the River District Vision Plan meets an awful lot of the original objectives coming from the general plan, increasing public access to the river, increasing recreation opportunities and economic development opportunities, along with doing things like this best in class. If we're going to do it, particularly things that are related to the river, let's do it right. Let's do it really, really well. So finally, staff recommendation and all 4 of your public bodies, the Citizens Advisory Committee, the Historic District Commission, the Parks and Recreation Commission, and the Planning Commission, we all recommend that you approve Vision Plan, the River District Vision Plan, and Resolution 11292. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much for that presentation. And it is remarkable that everybody's anxiety over having a very large group put together turned out to be such an excellent product. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Any questions from the council specific to the plan?
No questions, but comments.
Okay.
I'll make one, sir.
Questions?
Yes.
Okay. Fire away.
First of all, thank you for you as a project manager and consultant, but more importantly, all the citizens who involved in this Citizens Advisory Committee. If you can move to slide page 15 or 14.
Tell me when to stop. I'm not sure.
Yes, rodeo grounds. I was looking at the right side.
There will always be a rodeo on the 4th of July.
Yes.
Just maybe not in
Then
that
we'll
park.
stop there.
Yeah, that's right. This is good. This is good. I know we have been investing so much time on this council, on the economic development. There was a consultant before. Do you see any low-hanging fruit for this council and this administration here to take quick actions to be a productive area for this town? Have you done that research? Because there are so many brains in that room.
Certainly. From your project manager's perspective, I'll lay that out for you, but I think an important group to ask would be your Parks and Recreation Department and commission on that. But from my perspective, I think upgrading the fields are low-hanging fruit, because the Folsom Lake Surf Soccer Club is a very substantial organization now, and they cannot hold soccer tournaments on natural grass fields because the fields are not high quality enough. I'll just leave it at that. They do hold tournaments in town on synthetic turf fields. So if there's a way to finance that, particularly with the addition of lights, the program expansion or the accessibility of the fields goes up, exponentially if you can light the fields. And people shouldn't be too worried about lights anymore, because they are so focused. You can literally draw a line on the ground with the quality of lights now. So that would be one. I think also expanding that parking so that you can host other kinds of events in the rodeo park. So working with the chamber to define what the what their minimum needs are, because I didn't touch on it, but those little rectangles up here,
Yeah.
they already they import temporary bleachers to build their full kind of rodeo show, seating plan. So building that on asphalt would be simple, not a problem. But having the expanded parking would support the tournaments. It could support any other activity that you can do in the arena where you need the additional parking. So I think those are two pretty low-hanging fruit. The other one, I think the third one I would say is, this is one of the oldest playgrounds in the city. I mean, it goes back, I'm going to say about 1988 or 89, if my memory serves me correctly, the playground that was the big playground in the circle area that was built. The Rotary Club did a wonderful, fully accessible playground next door. It's smaller, but what they call a universal access, because anybody can go on it. But you do something universal access in that whole, this is the existing concrete sidewalk there next to the zoo. If you reimagine that whole space, pretty expensive proposition, but it would be incredibly popular, not only to visitors, but to Folsom residents and families alike.
Got it. Thank you. One more time, on this ground beyond rodeo, and of course, I remember you're saying about the bicycle or this be you.
Cyclocross.
What's that?
The cyclocross.
Cyclocross, right?
They just concluded their fall season. Yeah.
Yeah. So anything else as a part of your research? Because the reason I want to just get that out and everybody listen, it's a revenue generator, right? And a low-hanging fruit. You don't have to invest the millions and millions of dollars. Anything else? And I get it, what you are saying. I was there for Diwali, I think, a couple of days ago. This asphalt is kind of a low-hanging fruit, as you rightfully said.
Another one would be, this came up from our resident neighbor, Mr. Shaw on Sutter. This is Sutter Street right here. Mr. Shaw, I think it's John Shaw, showed up at a couple of CAC meetings, and he said, getting a trail in here would accomplish several things.
Yeah.
Obviously, more trail use and recreational use. Work in this oak woodland forest, so you would have fire mitigation because you'd lift the forest up off the ground. So I think what Ms. Soulsby was talking about, you interrupt that fire ladder. And also there have been homeless camps in there. So getting more people using the property in constructive ways mitigates that negative use. So that would be another. And trails are, in the scheme of cost of things, trails are on the lower end.
Thank you, Robert.
So I love it all, Robert. The rodeo arena, Traders Lane, the courtyard, the city owns all of those properties. But so the canal trail with the bridge, that would be on state or federal property, correct? Is that in the state park general plan already? Or were they in favor of that?
I can't tell you if it's exactly in the general plan, but you did appoint a representative from State Parks to the CAC, and you got a letter from Steve Hilton, the Goldfields superintendent, that said that they are interested in working with the city on this concept. So again, I can't speak to the exact consistency with the general plan, but you do have a letter from the superintendent that said, we're interested. They also made it very clear, if it's on their land, they're the project lead.
Right.
But,
Good. Maybe that means they'll pay for it too.
Well, I hope everybody works together.
Right. That's why probably you are saying consistently, talk to state parks, keep that.
So just on that note, Vice Mayor, let's see, which way did I go? Here we go. This would require, even though this is principally our street right-of-way, this would require cooperation and partnership with state parks as well, because there is crossover. I mean, Riley Street and Greenback is not a clean right-of-way. We looked into it. It's not clean. There is overlap with state parks all through this area. And then if you get down, if you want to implement the mini park and the river overlook, that's clearly state park land down here, as would be the boardwalk and coming back in front of the state historic park.
Okay, thank you.
But they're very willing. They, the one abstention of all the votes for recommendation, the one abstention came from the state parks representative. I think appropriately so, because they're not going to take the city plan and overlay it on their plan. Their plan governs their work, but they indicated very much willingness to work with the city on these.
Great, excellent. Okay, any other questions right now? All right, so we're going to open public comment because we have a speaker card. Somebody would like to comment? Mr.
Okay, you have a request to speak from John Lane.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to come here this evening. I just wanted to just talk a little bit, maybe follow up a little bit with Robert. I had the distinct honor of being the chair for this, as selected by the members of the committee. And through the wisdom of the council, we put 24 people together that normally don't sit together. And what I can say, though, is that this group worked incredibly hard together. We didn't always agree, but we came back together month after month for well over a year to develop the plan that you have in front of you. And so what we have is we have, I think, a pretty amazing example of what can be done when people develop trust and they listen to each other. They agree that they can disagree at times. So the other thing we did was build partnerships that maybe hadn't existed before. And I'd like to specifically talk about state parks. State parks was there. And what I can tell you is that the committee was ironclad in its resolution to never overstep our authority with state parks. And so anything in this plan, if state parks, or any time in our discussions, if state parks was clearly a hard no because it really violated either their principles or their general plan, this committee was behind, like, we're not going to talk about that. So what I think we found is in many cases, for example, in the Canal Trail or in the River Promenade, was those things either were expressly in their plan or they weren't in the plan, but they aligned really well what they wanted to do. So if we go to that picture, for example, I guess I have control here. Well, I'm not going to even attempt it, but we've all seen the picture of, there we go. Here we go, of the picture of right here, this one right here. Like, where to go? Drive me back to the picture of all the people on the trail. So State Parks has seen this right here. We've all seen this. State Parks has seen this, and there's no way that State Parks wouldn't like to fix this. But what we do is maybe the city doesn't pay for it, or maybe the state doesn't pay for it. But when we agree on collaborative projects, there are all kinds of things that we can do together, finding funding or other ways to accomplish things that we wouldn't have been able to do on our own. And I think that's something I want you to think about this plan, is that it's really new opportunities. And I also want to include the tribes. There was a tribal representative. Robert and I went and met with the tribes, with multiple tribes, and I want to believe that we opened a little door to conversations, and we said, look, whatever we do here, we're not going to ignore the tribes or their heritage or their culture, because there's many of these projects ultimately can incorporate that, especially if we do it in the front. So you'll see in the principles of this vision plan that we put that as principle number one, that we will work in partnership, keyword is partnership, with the state parks and the tribes. And we did not get any feeling or any statements from the tribes or the state parks that anything in here was a total no-go. In fact, most things here they would like to see in one form or another. It's a vision plan, so it's not perfect. So in any case, I just wanted to say that. We also built this plan from the input, not only from the committee and the parks and the tribes, but from the community. That, what I would also wanted to thank, and there's at least a couple people here, people from the community who came to all those meetings, are pretty darn close to it. And they sat in the back for hours and hours when you add it all up, and they are here too in this plan. We listened to them, they were listening to all the people. So in any case, then we also built flexibility in this thing. So there's a lot of pieces here, and they can all be done either individually, whether it's the rodeo grounds, you can do it in phases. You can look at the promenade or the canal. There are lots of things that can be done in pieces, so think of it like that. So the key thing that I would like to bring here is it's the key sentiment of the committee would be, number one, pass this plan, which I feel like we're going to do. But more importantly, and Robert already said it, is don't let this thing sit on the shelf, right? Let's let it sit at your fingertips. There was a wise woman on the committee who told me this isn't the end, it's just the beginning. So let's continue to find ways to move some of the pieces. You'll have 24 members of the committee here ready to help, as well as part of the community. And so with that, thank you very much.
Thank you for getting us to the starting line. Any other public comment?
You have no further requests to speak on this item.
All right, council members, commentary,
I have
accolades,
some
or
comments.
emotion?
So it's hard to believe it was 10 years ago that I signed the lease on my business before I took a massive transformation of that building and gutted it, put it in. But before I did all that, I had done my research on the historic district that had, at that point, it was like a future plan. And sadly, a lot of that hasn't really come to fruition because at the time, I mean, you had the housing crisis and then you kind of get out of that and then COVID hit and then that kind of, takes you back. And so for 10 years now, I've been in the historic district. And when I looked at this tonight, it's very exciting. It's exciting the potential of what the historic district can be better than what it is today. And so it is exciting as a resident. It's exciting as somebody who has a business in the district. It is super exciting of the possibilities of what can become of the historic district. And and then just as an elected official, wanting to see something continually to progress. And so this is very exciting. And I don't think, I hope that, this next council doesn't put it on the shelf and really takes action on the possibilities of what could happen, even under some of the restraints that we're having, because, with economic development, I think having been one of my priorities, I look at this as probably a huge economic driver for the city. And so that's it.
Very good. Okay. Mr. Raban, anything?
I mean, there's lots to like. I don't love everything, but I like that. I like what John Lane said about everybody coming together. I really liked that. I think you said, I think it was State Parks, that there were some concessions being made where that envisioning would be of the bridge. I think that was a very great compromise for a future possibility. One tangible thing that I picked up right away, I loved the idea of putting a trail around those two soccer fields. I raised two kids that were actually one of them did play for surf up in Washington until he went to a different club. But to have something that a mom can do, a soccer mom can do while they're practicing incessantly, I think that would be usable not just for soccer moms, but for other activities as well. So that was just one tiny little tangible, not why you created this entire plan. But I think there's lots of little things in this that we could start thinking through right now that wouldn't cost a lot of money, would be low-hanging fruit. But thank you for all the work. A lot of volunteer work went into this. And I did hear that it was very lively at times, but I think the end result is pretty good. So thank you to everybody.
I will just say also thank you to the committee. I did advocate to have a lot of different voices on the committee, including some naysayers, because I think it's important that they're part of the process. And so nobody can say that they were not given an opportunity to pitch their idea. But this is the will of the majority of the committee. I love it all. I like Robert's suggestions for the low-hanging fruit, and then I think the promenade should be the next thing we work on. I think that'd be great. So thank you all.
Any final comments?
I'll just echo one more time, thanking all of them. It's a 184 pages, awesome document. Pictures, Robert, you are calling somebody there who did that nice graphics and videos and all those. Very attractive, and you have to first buy it through your eyes, right? That's what the window shopping is, right? Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, good. I think even all of you are emphasizing the same thing. You don't want this to be a document on our city shelves. How do we do that? I know it's frank that Measure G is not there, but still, all those great brains out there, 24 plus state parks and everybody, I think we can move the needles. So I know this team, whosoever it is, mayor, vice mayor, however the new composition of the next city council is going to be, will continue work together, at least to give from this 184 pages, those 6 can be accomplished as little as this money. I know before that somebody else was speaking about how we can generate the money. Source funding, whatever it is, all those things. I just want to put that out there. Please don't dismantle that citizens committee. We will continue again, after passing however the way, the council wants, and I'll definitely join that committee after these meetings. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart. It's a great document and a wonderful presentation.
Excellent result, a lot of hard work, and I don't want to wait for anybody else to make this resolution go through. So I'm going to move that we pass resolution number 11292.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second.
Council members Chalem Chella,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Rohrbaugh.
Yes.
Aquino.
Yes.
And Kozlowski.
Yes.
Okay, that takes you to your last business item this evening. That is item number 22, resolution number 11294, a resolution approving the Central Business District Vision Plan and determination that the proposed vision plan is statutorily exempt from CEQA.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Pam again. I'll just quickly introduce the project manager for the Central Business District Vision Plan, Master Plan, which is Kathy Peace with Management Advisory Services. So she served as contract project manager on the city's behalf, managing the consultant team and the committee on this effort, and she's going to give a presentation on that plan for you this evening. Thank you.
Great. Welcome back.
Thank you, Pam. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. That's a hard presentation to follow. Robert did a great job. So I am very pleased to be here tonight to be presenting the Central Business District Vision Plan. The Central Business District is located between the Sutter Middle School and Blue Ravine and between East Bidwell and Riley Streets, and Lemby Park, as you see, is located within the boundary. In early 2022, as Pam had indicated earlier, the council approved the use of grant funds to create a central business master plan to encourage revitalization in this area. There are numerous general plan policies that support revitalization of the central business district. This area has been the subject of many previous and recent plans and studies intended to improve both the form and function of the district with new business and/or housing opportunities, as well as improved transportation systems. This vision plan builds on those plans to establish a cohesive vision, identify key transformative ideas with successful examples from other areas, and outline specific actions that can be taken to implement the vision over time. With input from both extensive public outreach and a citizens advisory committee, the key objectives for improvement of the central business district include economic development, mixed use, residential development, design, improved circulation and safety improvements, lighting and landscaping, as well as infrastructure improvements. This has been a year-long effort with help from consultants. Jacobs was hired to prepare the plan. Sub-consultants included Bay Area Economics, Kimley Horn for traffic, and AIM Consulting for public outreach. Robust public outreach included newsletter articles, a dedicated web page, mailing lists, an online survey, pop-up events, and outreach to business owners. An online survey with over 800 respondents provided feedback, such as what they liked about the district. This included retail, shopping, indoor entertainment, and outdoor recreation. They were asked why they visit the district and what they'd like to see changed. The public's answers mirror that of the advisory committee, which included wanting to see better pedestrian and bicycle connections, continuous sidewalks, increased landscaping, more opportunities within the district for community events and restaurants. In addition, the public feedback included a desire for a mix of additional housing types that could accommodate all segments, and they also looked for branding. They identified the need for a themed branding to celebrate Folsom in a unique way. In October of 2023, the City Council appointed a citizen advisory committee to help provide feedback into this process. And I have to do a shout out to Joe Gagliardi, who did double duty for both the River District and the Central Business District. So as you see on this slide, we had a great cross reference of a lot of stakeholders that included landowners, recreation, residents at large, economic development and developers, transportation, education and students, and housing and service providers. This slide outlines the format for the vision plan. Key areas include a discussion of existing conditions, transformative ideas or key opportunities for improvement, and implementation strategies for recommended actions. It should be noted that there are no specific projects proposed at this time. The vision plan does not change the zoning or land use, and it's intended to implement the city's general plan policies. There are key areas that shape the vision of the district. These key chapters of the vision plan include economic development, land use, transportation, placemaking and design, and infrastructure. Bay Area Economics did an analysis and found that e-commerce is disrupting the retail sector. It's important for the Central District to be distinct from other areas of the city. They identified that a hotel could support tourism tied to Lemby Park, and there's an opportunity to incentivize land assembly and private and public partnerships. The advisory committee held 8 meetings throughout the year on a variety of topics. The right-hand portion of the slide shows specific recommendations that are found within the vision plan. These have been incorporated into the vision plan as transformative big ideas and recommended actions. And as you can see, they provided a lot of really helpful feedback. The Central Business District lacks a cohesive sense of place. Therefore, it should set itself apart from other areas of the city. Some of the top action items include actions designed to support existing businesses, set strategic actions to help promote the district and encourage placemaking or ways to attract business in today's competitive economy. The economic study identified the need to encourage and incentivize land assembly, private and public partnerships, and investments or improvements to public and private property. Recommended actions supported identifying measurable goals and milestones, establish annual review and monitoring by dedicated city staff, and engage the City Council in the future in setting funding priorities as appropriate. For land use, the city should capitalize on Lemby Park as an asset and provide increased connectivity to hopefully draw folks attending sporting events to stay and spend money within the district. So as you're aware, Riley is a broad roadway. It's hard for pedestrians to get across, and so transformative idea would really be to improve connections that can help draw folks that are at Lemby and have them feel comfortable going into the business side of the district. We also heard in the economic report how important it is to support entertainment type of commercial uses, such as beer gardens, outdoor space, rooftop gardens. So an action item is to look at the zoning code for positive amendments to make these types of uses easier. Transformative ideas include creating a district landscape plan to establish standards for public realm areas, including streets, sidewalks, plazas, and paseos. This could be funded by public and/or private endeavors, such as a business improvement district. Another idea is to look at relocation of the post office, and another idea is to promote or create new art installations within the district by working with the Arts Commission. There's many opportunities that art could be installed, including in the middle of future roundabouts, at key intersections, at corners, integrated into gateways, and as permanent or temporary tourist attractions. The district includes 5 of 13 current roundabout study locations that could be considered for future roundabout improvements. This was discussed in detail with the advisory committee and specifically looked at the intersection of Riley and Glen to show how a roundabout could be built at that location. Key transportation ideas for the district include continuing to explore roundabouts consistent with the city's Roundabout First policy. Specific action items include doing a district-wide traffic study and looking for ways to enhance walkability by closing sidewalk gaps, reducing curb cuts, and enhancing landscape. If supported by a detailed traffic analysis, for instance, a specific improvement with community outreach and ultimately city council direction could be to consider restriping East Bidwell to narrow lanes and to restripe to accommodate on-street Class 2 bike lanes, for instance. Branding and identity are really important. This was an advisory committee discussion item as well as a public survey question. There was no new name for the district that resonated, so it's recommended that a design consultant be hired to help with branding. Branding can help with tourism, support local business, and create a district that would stand out from other areas of the city. A transformative idea to give the district a unique theme is to consider a retro theme reflective of the historic nature and development patterns within this district. A specific thing that could be supported include allowing larger pylon signs along the street with graphic and symbolic representations, which might incorporate neon. This would be similar to the South Congress District in Austin, Texas, and as part of the theme, potentially we could establish a neon sign park attraction. The vision plan restates the known infrastructure issues outlined in the recent General Plan Amendment and Environmental Impact Report, or EIR, relative to wastewater and storm drainage in this area. The actions reflect the mitigation measures identified in the General Plan EIR and will be implemented over time to allow for future development and/or redevelopment in this area. The appendix contains several items, including a table that lists grant funding opportunities. The grant funding table will allow staff to see what's available. It provides timelines for submitting applications and any additional requirements. So this could be a tool to look for funding sources. There are also figures and tables in the document so that it can point you to other areas of the vision plan. The vision plan will be implemented over time through a combination of city actions, partnerships, public and private initiatives and investments, grant funding, and infrastructure plans. To assist with this, staff compiled all of the action items throughout the document in one place, and this lists the action item, the lead party that would be responsible to implement it, potential funding sources, a timeline, and then a column so that we can track the status. So at this time, there is no funding to implement the action items. Therefore, there are a menu of possibilities that will be explored, including the city budget, updates to the capital improvement program, possible grant opportunities, and finally, potential private support, such as polling business owners to see if they would be willing to form a business improvement district or a business association that could fund marketing efforts. It should be noted that the plan is consistent with the general plan and the city will look for guidance from the vision plan, but it does not require strict compliance like other plans. City staff will review the action plan during an annual review for City Council consideration and direction to implement priority actions as determined by the City Council. So similar to the River District, we don't want this to sit on a shelf. We do want it to be implemented.
All right.
I have just
More?
a couple, I'm almost done. At the last meeting, the advisory committee considered the program or the project. Their recommendations have been included in the vision plan, and they did vote unanimously for the project. On October 30th, the Planning Commission also considered the item, and November 5th, the Parks and Recreation Commission considered it. They were all supportive of the vision plan. We found that the project qualifies for an exemption from the California Environmental Quality Act. And with that, staff recommends approval of resolution number 11294.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Also, extraordinarily good work. A lot of people were involved. Want to thank the Dyers, particularly, and the Economies, and everybody that participated as a business owner or neighborhood resident. I'm very, very excited about the opportunity that exists there to improve the streetscape and make it a destination, more of a destination than it already is, and being able to use this as a jumping off point for helping the business owners there implement the visions that they have for their businesses, which are, there's a lot of good things coming, so excited about that. Other comments, council members?
Comments?
Comments, questions? We don't have any requests to speak on this one.
So, this is definitely an area of the city that could use a whole lot of beautification. There's so many opportunities. It is, my church sits right in that parking lot of the DMV, and I've always said, a church doesn't belong here, but the reality, because it's so tough for when you look at economic development and people flow and all that good stuff. But it is exciting again to see the potential of something that can improve that, that area. There are so many great anchor businesses that already draw people to the area. And so it would be great to see this area just beautified, made better. I love the idea of housing, creating housing in this area along with businesses. And I love the signs of the potential of what it can be. So, I think this is great. And I agree, I hope that this doesn't sit on a shelf. It is a little disappointing that Measure G is not passing, because I think that would have been a great revenue source to be able to really beautify the city, and it would have given us funding to invest back into the city, which, no matter how much you try to cut from other places, most of us know that there's not very many places to cut that is going to give you money to be able to invest back into the city. And so, how it happens, I don't know, but the potential is exciting.
Excellent. All right.
I thought there was a lot to like in this plan too. I love the roundabouts, the walkability, the neon signs, just kind of the, making it kind of an eclectic, funky place that I think would appeal to people like my kids who are, you graduate from college, and if you're coming back to Folsom, they don't want to live in a single family home. They want to kind of be where the action is. And so I think it could be helpful to keeping some of our youth around. I do like the idea of a business improvement district. I'm happy to see the Dreyers in the audience today, and hopefully we can have a conversation about that and see what the mood is of the property owners and the merchants there. Stacy, I have a question for you. So if we were to establish a business improvement district in this area, can the sales consultant give us is that something that we could measure where, what's the sales tax revenue pre-business improvement, before we do improvements and then after we do improvements, and see if it what we thought was going to happen in terms of walkability and bringing people and foot traffic and that sort of stuff.
Yes, we can do that. We can have them create a boundary and then do tracking in that boundary.
Perfect. Okay. I also I like what was mentioned about Lemby Park. I'd love to see Lemby Park be, you know, Folsom's version of McKinley Park from East Sac, and something to bring, you know, whether it's a rose garden or a jogging track or something, but something to bring people closer to the street so it's just more visible so that you can see that there's activity happening there. I wholeheartedly agree that we need to rebrand the district. It's not just a central business district anymore. There is housing there already. I would say, though, I think this is one area where we do not need to use a consultant. I think we have 85,000 residents in the city and a lot of creative ones, and I think this is the perfect opportunity to put something out to the city and say, hey, submit your ideas for a name, whether it's the Central District, City Central, Midtown, whatever, and then let's get, you know, maybe the top 10 or whatever, and we put it out and we have the city vote on it, and we have a logo designing contest, and I think that's something that we could just make a really fun public process. We don't need a consultant to do that. So again, great work, and thank you very much to the committee. A lot of stuff for me to like in this one too. Thank you.
Sure.
Yep. Thank you again. You know, I echo whatever my colleagues are talking about. I know I asked this question to the previous project manager, Mr. Goss, as well. Yes, this is a great document, and we can see it, we feel it. There is some money required for that, investments. In your research with the community team and you and our consultant as well, where do we go and try to look for those and sell Folsom, not sell, present Folsom in an attractive way so that investors can partner with the local people to develop? Do you have any thoughts or research on that?
I think similar to what you were asking, kind of that low-hanging fruit, and I'll turn to Pam to ask that question as well. But I think the branding is a good place to start. I don't think that'll take a lot of money to explore that. And then Pam has some thoughts.
One of the things that's unique about this area is it is an area that's designated in the Green Means Go. So we do have some unique grant opportunities in this area of the city that don't really apply to other areas of the city. So that's something we'll stay on top of from a staff perspective, look for grant opportunities. But public-private partnerships, it's not one solution, and that was clear in our committee discussions and in the discussion with our economic consultant. There's a lot of different ways that we're going to have to tackle this, and so it's not just public funding, it's not just private funding, it's a lot of ways to invest in this area and reinvest in the area.
It is. I'm glad you are saying that. What I mean to say, ideas like, Sacramento Economic Development Council, quite a bit of investors and business partners. And right now we have about, 6 or 7 technology firms in our town. Our mayor visited, Korea, Samsung, right? He got a, beautiful pack from Korean written, right? So what I mean to say, maybe an economic council in Bay Area to showcase who is Folsom and what we are looking for. Those are the things I'm looking at. I know what I know, but all those, the community committee and especially the consultants, if you guys have done like that, that inputs helps us to make that move rather than a shelving document. That's what I'm more looking.
Yeah, I mean, Choose Folsom is in that leadership role for us and helps us partner with those other regional agencies. So absolutely, they're a big part of this solution.
Got it. Okay. Thank you again.
Excellent. Anybody like to make a public comment?
I have a few comments, though.
No? Okay.
I think I agree with my colleagues. There's a lot to like. I don't want to lose sight that this was a central business district plan on how to keep accessibility and revitalize all of the businesses there. And part of that is accessibility. So what I really appreciated is that when you mentioned roundabouts, you mentioned Riley. The complication with it on Bidwell is that my understanding is only a 1-lane roundabout would work, which would drastically reduce the traffic. You'd have to go from 2 lanes to 1 lane in order to approach a roundabout. So that is of grave concern. It also reduces the access up to 200 feet on each side as well to the businesses. So I'm glad to hear that there was thought putting into, if you're going to start a roundabout, Riley might be the best choice outside of the cost prohibitive nature of a roundabout. One thing I also liked that one of my Councilmember Aquino mentioned was the possibility of a PBID. Just for people that don't quite know what that is, it's a property and business improvement district. We've done it. I think historic district, we've done it. It's a special benefit assessment district designed to raise funds within a specific geographic area. And it's an assessment on real property businesses or however they want to do that, or combo of both. So it's used to supplement services that the city cannot provide. And then those businesses that are being assessed or property owners would have control over how that's spent. So that would be an easy way, a simple and easy way if we can get the businesses and property owners to kind of catch on to that vision, wayfinding, signage, improvements to landscaping, all of that they would be able to have control over. Also a way to increase security, have security measures, have lighting, all of that, that is a very high population for some of our homeless or transient populations. So that would be one way to combat that as well. So I think, if we could get some traction on a PBID and really talk to the property owners and business owners, they might see the value in that. It's a small assessment, but could make a big difference in a way. So I really like that part as well. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Anybody like to make a motion?
Move adoption of resolution number 11294.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Councilmembers Chalem-Chella,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Lorba,
Yes.
Aquino,
Yes.
and Kozlowski.
Yes. Thank you for your work and everybody that was involved. All right, city managers report.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, many thanks to our city employee team, including our police department, our fire department, Public Works, Parks and Rec, community volunteers, participants, and spectators who delivered yet another amazing Veterans Day parade just yesterday. And also, thank you to all of the veterans in our community and within our City of Folsom family, including my favorite veteran, City Attorney Steve Wong. Please don't miss Games Day at the Folsom Public Library on Saturday, November 16th. That's this Saturday. Enjoy a full day of fun and games from 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. with activities for all ages. The day will feature a variety of board games, chess, and video games, along with a life-sized Candyland game in the youth wing that I've been waiting to see. And special events will be held in the library meeting room as well. And you can find out more at our website. Step into a winter wonderland as Wild Nights and Holiday Lights returns, transforming the Folsom City Zoo Sanctuary into a display of festive lights and holiday cheer. Local caroling groups and musicians provide the merry sounds of the season, and the Folsom Valley Railway miniature train provides special nighttime rides. Wild Nights and Holiday Lights is open from 5 to 8:30 p.m., December 6th through the 8th, 12th through the 15th, and 18th through the 22nd, and all proceeds from the event benefit our zoo sanctuary animals. Join us in spreading holiday cheer throughout Folsom by entering your home, neighborhood, or business in the 4th annual Folsom Holiday Lights Contest. The Folsom Times is teaming up with the city to provide prizes to the winners, and you can find out more at folsom.ca.us/holiday lights contest. And then finally, get ready to lace up your skates and experience the magic of winter in historic Folsom. The historic Folsom Ice Rink is open through January 20th, offering a season full of family fun and festive activities at the historic Folsom Plaza. Features include special events, fire pits, special lighting, and a party zone. And you can learn more at folsomicerink.com. Thank you, Mayor.
Excellent. Rosario, council comments.
Well, today is officially the last meeting. I mean, we have one more where we make the changes, but it is the last meeting for me with this council. And it's interesting because the last 4 years I've been able to reflect on. I got elected, and then I became a council member and almost immediately became a widow. And then you have those emotions of now, dealing with all that I dealt with back in 2021, but I have really grown so much these last 4 years, and having not had any really government background with the exception of the Historic District Commission. And it's really opened up my eyes. I am so grateful to our city staff, because in the last 4 years, there were many times that I didn't know something, and I would go to Mark, or I'd ask our, Stacy a question, or Pam, and just the wealth of knowledge and expertise, and that this city has is truly. It's what makes us better up here on the dais making decisions, and so. I'm grateful to all of you and for all of the wealth of information that you have given me the past 4 years that really did set me up to be, to now as I move over to the county, I leave here with so much information about how government works and what good government looks like, and what not good government or governance looks like, and how to be effective. And so I am just really grateful to all of you. I'm grateful to all of you up here that have been, partners these last 4 years or last couple of years. And so thank you. Yeah, I'm excited for the future, but I am truly grateful for the partnerships.
Very good. This is Roba.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, there's several outgoing. I want to people, so I'm happy that we're going to have somebody from Folsom representing the county, and I think you'll do well by that.
Thank you.
We had our last 2x2 meeting, our school district meeting, so I want to comment on that. The last one, YK will be there as a Folsom Council representative. But it was really nice meeting our new superintendent and seeing him in a meeting as well. There's so much to be grateful for with Eric Swanson. He is a dynamic leader, it seems like already. Of course, I only had one meeting with him, but full of hope. His staff is engaged and encouraged, and I think ready to take off. So really positive about lots going on with the school district. I do want to mention that there was a lot of disappointed people this last week. We're not going to talk about national politics, but we're going to talk about the local Measure G. I do really honestly want to thank all the volunteers that went out and really fought for what they believed in, regardless of the people that voted for it or not. That was a great thing to see, that there's so many people that care about the city and want to improve it or build on our strengths, and that took a lot of work. So I do want to acknowledge that. I do think that there's a lot of things to be really positive about. We're going to have 2 new council members coming in. That's new energy, new ideas. Sad to see that Elaine is going to be leaving in December as well, but we're going to have new energy again with a new CM, which we have not picked yet. Hopefully you're going to talk about the process in a minute. But anytime there's change, there can be conflict in that, but also, or scariness in that, but it's something that I hope that our public is encouraged about. Because there's just so much to be positive about. So I hope we can continue to focus on that. If you drive around Folsom and you really look at all the things that maybe why you moved here or why you still are here, Folsom is still a very fantastic, dynamic city. And we have so much just from the 2 presentations that we can still do to make it even better. But right now where we're at, we live in an incredible city with incredible people. So I just want to help people stay focused on that, and encourage our staff as well. And I think that was everything.
Excellent. YK.
I'll save my farewell comments for December 9th.
Okay.
Yeah, right? Yes. Okay. Talking on 2x2, district is thinking very innovatively. I know where Sarah represents District 3, even I represent at large, south of 50. We have over 10,000 people living right now, based on the numbers of close to 4,000 homes. So now they are thinking, after having 2 elementary schools, middle school and high school, that's the nature their kids wants to move up, how soon they can get it. So our school districts has some innovative ideas. They are brainstorming it, hopefully they will bring it to the council. I think Eric Swanson, the superintendent, he is a very a collaborative person. I insisted on, Mr. Swanson, I think we can't win alone. Let's partner with city councils. So he's hopefully coming to the city council to share, and that helps definitely, especially the Sarah, where she hears every day the residents about the middle school and high school. And the same way, I'm sure, Folsom, Cordova, the other side of the Cordova, they are building also. So that's one thing on that. And Veterans Day Parade. I echo whatever Elaine said. I know it was full rain. I know I missed this morning, one meeting also. Thank you, council. We walked, and especially the last fifth or so, the little kids were dancing. Those are 5 years, 6 years. So they soaked entire 2 hours, and they were dancing at the end to salute to our veterans. That's an awesome thing. Again, pass it down to every member. I know Ted Ocampo, from the starting beginning, every member. I'm not going to call out any names. That's an awesome one. And also, Elaine mentioned, Folsom Holiday Lights. It's coming, 4th year. So that means I have been on this council 4 years. So I can take a little bit, bow on that one, pushing. My colleagues agreed, let's start the, some holiday celebrations. Thanksgiving sales are coming. So anyone wants to buy the lights, please buy it. I'm just giving a hint here. But on a serious note though, Folsom Heart Homeless Assistance Resource Team, they came at the beginning. They spoke about the winter shelter and all those. I know county and the state and the cities, we can do only so much about homelessness. So we must partner with the community organizations like Heart, Jake's Journey Home, or Powerhouse Ministry. This Saturday, Heart is hosting a holiday festival. Their goal is to have 6 tiny homes for Folsom Lake College unhoused girls. Very clear goal. 6 tiny homes for unhoused girl. I'm going as a resident and a fellow taker of this town needs. So if anyone wants to join Saturday, it is out there at the community center. I know we help these local organizations to excel as well to meet their goals. With that, thank you again, and we will meet in the next council meeting.
Very good.
I will just report out briefly on the Sacramento-Placerville Transportation Corridor, JPA. That's the Joint Powers Authority that owns and controls the railroad tracks from 65th Street in Sacramento to Placerville. We had a meeting last week. 2 things of note. We did renew the contract with the Placerville-Sacramento Valley Railroad for another 7 years, so they can run their excursion train as long as they get the go-ahead from the CPUC and the Federal Railroad Administration. And then the second thing is, when the JPA was formed in the mid-90s, there really are 4 members of the JPA: the City of Folsom, the County of Sacramento, the County of El Dorado, and Regional Transit. There's always been a 5th at-large seat, which has always been given to Rancho Cordova as a courtesy because the tracks do go through the city. But they were not a city when the JPA was formed. Obviously, they're a city now. And so we have directed JPA staff to work with the city of Rancho Cordova to make them a full-fledged member of the JPA, a paying member of the JPA, which is always a good thing. And so the Rancho Cordova City Council approved that. And so we'll be working that out, I think probably to start July 1st next year, because we're trying to do it fiscal year to fiscal year. And with that, I would just ask that we adjourn this meeting in memory of Supervisor John Heidel, who was obviously a very dedicated public servant to the residents of El Dorado County, but he's also a father and grandfather to some Folsom residents, and was a great partner. He and I talked many times about things of mutual interest because our districts adjoin each other. So if we would adjourn in Supervisor Heidel's memory, I think that would be appropriate.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. I have a bunch of stuff, but I will rattle through it real quickly. The Vets Parade, anybody finds Brian Wallace, our Parks chairman, on the street, make sure you have him tell you the story of the Great Pony Escape of 2024. One of the ponies from the got scared by the fire truck, I think, and took off running through the Sprouts parking lot. And a quick thinking Folsom resident put his arms out in front and managed to corral the pony before he got any farther. And Brian was there as a backup plan. So. All right. Thank you for your comments about Measure G. I also would like to just thank everybody that worked on the campaign for that. There is a need for additional revenue in the city, but there was also a need for us to have a discussion about how we collect that revenue. And I think we had a year-long pretty intense one about it, and there are things to learn from the reaction that Measure G got, and I think we have a responsibility to take that feedback in and come up with a creative, good plan going forward. But nonetheless, the work on the campaign was outstanding. Thank you very much to everybody. I did, in fact, get to start the Parkway Run, and it was easy for me to find because they started it right in front of my regular job work office, which was cool. I did also get to start the Rio del Lago 100-mile run that starts at Beals Point every year. And claims to start in Folsom, even though I think that's actually Granite Bay right there, or it's right on the edge. But anyway, this year it was fantastic. If you've never seen an ultra marathon run, the men's and women's winner, which happened to finish first and women's winner second overall, set new records. And if you can believe this, the men's winner ran 100 miles from Folsom out towards Cool and back in 14 hours, 54 minutes, and 18 seconds. Just barely outdoing the women's winner, who did that in 16 hours, 26 minutes, and 42 seconds. So spectacular. And there were, as I counted them, I hope I didn't miss anybody, 8 Folsom residents who also entered. So congratulations to Mandy O'Brien, Nikki Monacle, Megan Isom, Jamie Veers, Eric Waterman, Brian Medley, Joshua Frey, and Allison Vanderveen, who all earned themselves a belt buckle after running 100 miles out to Cool and back. If you can't get enough running in your life, we got 2 huge events coming up shortly. The CIM will start at the terminus of the Folsom Lake Crossing Dam Road on December 8th. Amazing spectacle. So get out and help with that or watch it. And then this Saturday, roughly 4,000 excellent high school cross-country runners will descend on Willow Hills Cross-Country Course Park, which is right behind Folsom High School. I will be out there cheering on our Vista Del Lago team, but both the Vista Del Lago men's and women's, or boys and girls varsity, and the Folsom High boys and girls varsity teams have excellent chances of qualifying for the state cross-country meet on Saturday. So I'll root for all of them, please. Christmas tree lighting's coming up. I don't know the exact date. You can look it up online.
I think it's the second.
Sometime soon. And then the dedication of the Johnny Cash pick is coming up in a week and a half on the 22nd?
21st.
21st.
3 p.m.
3 p.m. So the part of the River District map showed the trail along Riley Street right there. The work that's been going on, that's been fenced off behind the Moose Club, that's where the pick is. And then finally, I will just say that my colleagues and I have been out there beating the bushes looking for a city manager to replace Elaine when she flies the coop. And we have we had an open period for people to apply for the job. We got lots of interest. There were over 50 candidates that wanted to take on that challenge. And that has now been whittled down to about 6, which we're going to do interviews with in the next several weeks. So more news as that develops. And then I will say I got to know one of John Heidal's daughters first. She's also excellent and a Folsom resident. Catherine Heidal, who's also an architect like me, we worked together years ago. And John and I served together on the connector board, and he will absolutely be missed. So in memory of Supervisor John Heidal, we are adjourned.